Hey everyone, welcome to Tic Tac Taiko's last video of 2021. This week is a little different. There's no demonstrations, there's no drills. Instead, I'm going to give you homework. I want you to consider the other side. And when I say that, I'm not talking about politics or religion or sports or even if pineapple belongs on pizza, which it totally does. Case closed. No, what I'm talking about is literally considering the other side of your body. Sooner or later, every taiko player is given a drill and told you should practice this drill with the other hand, meaning build the other hand up so that their weaker side is closer to your stronger side. And it's rare that they're ever going to be completely even, but we should be striving to build somewhat of a balance. However, taiko is not just about the hands. It's a full body art. And to neglect the rest of the body is to do it a huge disservice. In addition to the hands, you have your arms, you have your shoulders, you have your hips, you have your legs, and you have your feet. The homework I'm going to give you is actually really timely. This is the time of year people are playing less, practicing less, not on a drum as much, not in the studio as often, and that's perfect. Here's how the homework goes. Step 1, make a list of 2 things, both the things you do with one side of the body or the other, as well as the things you start with one side of the body before switching to the other. And if you're not sure exactly what I mean, that's okay. I'll break it down in a second. Give yourself 2 to 3 days to make this list. Some things you're not going to notice until you've done it more than once. Some things you're not going to do on one day that you're going to do on the next. You want to give time to build this list up. And I suggest writing it down. You don't have to have page after page after page, but if you're only making a mental list, you're guaranteed to forget things as you add to the list. Step 2 is to cross off everything on that list that you have to do with one side or the other. For example, when I get in my car, the ignition is on the right side. I'm going to use my right hand. I'm not going to cross over with the left or cross under. It's just ridiculous. So certain things you are limited by or limited to, go ahead and cross those off your list. The third and final part of the homework is where the fun is. Everything that you do with one side, do it with the other. Everything that starts on one side, start it with the other. It's pretty simple. Because part of this homework is to develop your own list, which is about awareness of what you do, I don't want to give you too many things as examples. I'm going to go through a list of about 8 things to give you an idea of how to get away from just your hands and the things that we probably all do every day that you may not even be aware of. Hopefully this will spark your creative juices and your list will start to grow. The first example is really easy, brushing your teeth. I've never met anyone who brushes with one side and then switches to the other. If you do that, you're cool. Keep on doing that. No, most of us have one side that we're comfortable with. We brush, we don't think about it. Now I want you to think about it. Switch to the other side. The goal here is not to just make it happen. You don't want to grab it like a club and brush your teeth. You want to figure out what your stronger hand is doing. How are the fingers positioned? How do you rotate the brush? And then you want to try to mimic that in the other side. This helps generate balance, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking to strengthen the other side, not just get it done. Shaving is a really good one as well. Before, I made it a practice to shave with both sides, both hands. Starting with the weaker hand was really scary at first, and after a couple weeks I didn't think much about it. I was able to do it. I had built some balance up, and I still strive to get more comfortable with my weaker hand. I almost forgot one of the biggest ones. Eating. If you're using utensils, switch to the other hand. If you're using chopsticks, really try switching to the other hand. It's going to be painful, and I don't recommend doing it when you're hungry or with friends or anyone watching. But practicing chopsticks on your weaker hand is an excellent way for taiko players to develop more finger dexterity and hand strength. Think about putting on a coat or a jacket. Are you the kind that swirls it around? Swirl it around the other side. See how that feels. Put the other arm in first. Sometimes it's almost comical how bad we are at that, but that's the point. And you also have taking that same coat or jacket off. regardless of how you do it. Whether you pull on one side or you put your hands and you pull on the sleeve, try the other side. Be aware first of which side does it and then switch it up. This will take practice. That's the point. And then of course you've got pants. Which leg do you put in first? Which leg do you take out first? Or are you one of those people that puts both legs on at the same time, you weirdo? From pants we move down to socks, which I'm not wearing, but do you put on the same side sock each time? Fine, that's fine if you do it. Switch to the other side. Does it feel different? It probably shouldn't, but I'll bet you it does. If we're doing socks, we gotta do shoes. And shoes are interesting. If you are one of those people like me who crouches when they put their shoes on, figure out which side you're crouching on. That's the side that's bearing all the weight. Switch to the other side, because every time you crouch, you're essentially working the muscle on one side, not the other. Get that balance. Crouch on the other side. And if you really want to do this on hard mode, tie your shoes the other way. You know what I mean. And just a few more before I finish. When you sit down in a chair, do you have one leg, one foot out in front of the other? Is one foot taking some of the weight before you sit? Is one of your hands reaching back to bear some of the load before you sit? When you stand up, same thing but in reverse. Are you biased towards one side or the other? Try switching that. Another fun one is the stairs. Which foot do you tend to use first when you go up the stairs? Now sometimes I know this depends on if you're approaching the stairs from the left or the right or what have you, but if you have a flight of stairs directly in front of you, what is your tendency? Be aware of it and then change it. And something I realized as I'm literally filming this, I'm sitting with my legs crossed. My left leg is in front of the right. This is where I'm comfortable. I'm also aware that there's about a 3-inch gap between the pants legs. And this is interesting. When I switch to consider the other side, I get into a position where, let's see, that's comfortable. There's hardly any gap in between, which means that one side, there's something different in the musculature or the makeup than the other. Is that physical? Was I born that way? Or is this something that the muscles have developed on one side or the other? This is a question that I will ponder for a while. But again, you start with the awareness, you make the change, and then notice if there are differences. And then it's up to you to figure out if you want to do something about it or not. By this point, I wouldn't blame you if you were a little skeptical. I mean, how is putting a sock on the other foot first going to make you a better tackle player? So let me give you an example from my own life. Many, many years ago, I had an office job and I had 2 desks making a right angle. On my left side, I had my computer, and to the right of it was a 10-key calculator. I had to use a calculator regardless of which side I was facing, so sometimes the calculator would be on my left or weaker side. And at first, using it with my left side was awkward and slow. When I left that job 3 years later, I was able to do with my left almost what I could do with my right, at least in terms of speed and accuracy. It was pretty impressive. I didn't plan it that way, but that's what happened because I was forced to use it on my left side. It absolutely improved my taekwondo playing. It brought my left hand more up to speed with my right. Granted, I had 3 years of taekwondo practice during that time, so that helped as well. But you better believe doing this for at least an hour a week over 3 years brought strength and dexterity to my hand that taekwondo practice did not. And the takeaway from that story, as well as the point I'm trying to get across for this week's video, is that I'm not asking you to put in an extra 20 minutes of practice a day or 30 minutes a week. Do what you are already doing, just tweak things a little bit. That's it. And you don't have to do your entire list every single day. You do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit then. Some things might be the same from day to day. Some things might be different. Doesn't really matter. And maybe 3 years from now or less, you're realizing you're brushing your teeth with your weaker side. You're putting your coat or your pants on with the side you normally didn't. That's the goal. Not to necessarily make these huge jumps, but to make the other side just as normalized as the side you're using now. I thought about giving a list of all the reasons this might benefit you in taekwondo, or playing a pattern you couldn't play and being able to move around like you normally wouldn't. I'm not going to get into that because that's going to be a long list. I'm sure if you thought about it, you could figure out the reasons why it's a good idea to balance the 2 sides and all of the benefits that might come from it. So the question isn't How does this benefit me? The question really is, how much do I want to be a better taiko player? I mentioned in the intro that this is the last video for 2021. I've got an artistic project that I really want to put some time into, and I can't do it while I keep making and editing a video every week. So even though I'm taking the rest of the year off, I'm still working on projects. I've still got some ideas, and some really good ideas for next year actually. If for some reason you like this video, let me know with a thumbs up, and feel free to go back to old videos and like those as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, hey, it's a holiday season. When's a better time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And until next year, keep on practicing and be well.